I bought this property nearly 15 years ago. It was a dream come true. What made it even better? A private lake. Yes, private, as in deeded to my lot. When I signed the papers, it was explicitly mentioned that part of the lake actually belonged to my land. I could fish, swim, or just sit on my dock and stare at the water, sipping lemonade while listening to loons call in the distance. Then the HOA formed. Now, when I moved in, there was no homeowners association. That's part of why I bought the place. I didn't want anyone telling me what color I could paint my mailbox or how tall my grass could be. But a few years after I moved in, a bunch of new families moved to the area. One of them, Karen, a retired busybody-in-chief, decided we needed an HOA. She and a few others rallied to get it approved. And boom, overnight I had new rules to follow. At first, I tried to stay out of it. I didn't attend the meetings. I didn't complain. I didn't want trouble. But of course, if you ignore a Karen, she doesn't go away. She escalates. The trouble started when I went swimming in the lake one Saturday morning. I had just mowed the lawn. It was 90 degrees out, and I thought, why not cool off? So I walked down to the dock and dove right in. It was glorious. But the next day, there it was in my mailbox, a fine, $1,000. Unauthorized use of community property, it said. I laughed at first, thinking it was a mistake. But nope. There was a signed letter from the HOA board claiming the lake was now under community jurisdiction and that I needed permission to use it. Excuse me? This was my lake, or at least my portion of it. I dug out my property documents, checked the deed, and yep, it clearly said my lot included exclusive use of the part of the lake behind my home. No ambiguity, no shared access, just mine. So I sent a polite letter back with scanned copies of the legal documents, stating clearly that they had no authority over that part of the lake. I expected that to be the end of it. But we're talking about Karen. A week later, another letter came. This time, it said I owed $2,000, $1,000 for the original violation, and another $1,000 for noncompliance and disrespecting HOA authority. Disrespect? For swimming in my own lake? I wasn't angry yet, not really, just annoyed. So I decided to attend the next HOA meeting. I showed up with my documents and calmly explained the situation. I laid everything out on the table, maps, deeds, even a legal letter I'd asked a friend who's an attorney to draft for clarity. Karen didn't care. She said, and I quote, "That lake is part of the aesthetic of the whole community. No one gets special privileges just because of old paperwork. If we let you swim there, everyone will want to." Let me remind you again, I owned that portion of the lake. When I pointed that out again, she rolled her eyes and said, "Well, maybe we'll see what the court has to say." So, I took her up on that. I didn't sue the HOA right away. First, I went down to the county records office, got updated maps, verified everything again. Then I sent one final warning letter. Rescind the fine or I would file a suit. They didn't respond. So I filed. Here's where it gets good. Turns out, not only did the HOA not have jurisdiction over my lake access, but their attempt to fine me violated local property laws. When we got to mediation, their lawyer practically choked when I showed the judge the documents. The fine was dropped immediately. The HOA was instructed to stop harassing me. But oh, I wasn't done yet. See, during my research, I discovered something interesting. The HOA's own bylaws were a mess. Karen and her friends had written them sloppily, rushing to consolidate power. I spotted multiple contradictions, and even a few violations of state HOA regulations. So I filed a formal complaint with the state HOA Oversight Board. A month later, the hammer came down. Not only was Karen fined personally for overstepping her role as president, but the entire HOA board was required to go through mandatory restructuring. And the kicker? Because of all the legal fees and penalties, the HOA had to increase its annual fees by, wait for it, $5,000 per household. Every neighbor got a letter about the increase. And guess who they all blamed? Yep, Karen. Now, you might think I got backlash, but actually, I got thank yous, quiet ones at first, notes in the mailbox, cookies on the porch. One neighbor even brought me a six-pack and said, "Thanks for putting her in her place." Karen, of course, tried to spin it, claimed she was defending community values or some nonsense like that. But it didn't matter. Her reputation was toast. A few months later, she stepped down from the board. Not voluntarily, mind you. There was a vote. It was unanimous. Now, I swim in my lake every single weekend. I float on a raft with a cold drink in hand, music playing, birds singing, and not a care in the world. And the best part? The HOA hasn't bothered me since. Not once. The new board members are chill. We wave when we pass each other. They understand boundaries, literal ones and legal ones. So what's the moral of the story? Sometimes standing your ground isn't just about proving a point. It's about reminding people like Karen that power isn't about rules. It's about what's right. And if you ever get fined $1,000 for swimming in your own lake, make them pay 5 times that in return. Closing scene. Peaceful sunset over the lake. Soft music playing, voiceover fading out. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you enjoyed this story of petty justice and HOA takedown. And hey, keep your feet in your own water, or be ready to swim in legal trouble. See you next time.